All right, grammar enthusiasts, ready for a deep dive.
Let's do it.
Today we're tackling a topic that might not sound thrilling at first. Dot pronouns.
Yeah, I can see how some people might think, pronouns? What's there to deep dive into?
Right, but trust me on this. It's way more interesting than just memorizing he and she.
It really is. Pronouns, they're sneaky, they pop up everywhere and actually have a huge impact on how we communicate.
And how we see ourselves even.
Exactly.
So we're diving into Pronoun Hunt, which is a project-based learning plan from BhashaLab. They're doing some really interesting stuff to make education more accessible.
They really are. And this project, it gets to the heart of why pronouns matter, not just for grammar nerds like us.
So tell me, what exactly is Pronoun Hunt? Who are they targeting with this, and what are they hoping these learners will get out of it?
So it's designed for fifth graders. It's a 2-week deep dive into, well, everything pronouns.
2 weeks. It seems like a long time to be focusing on just pronouns, right?
You'd think so, but it's not just about memorizing definitions. The goal is for them to really understand how pronouns function. Like, how do you identify different types? How do you actually use them correctly when you're writing, when you're speaking? It's about gaining this deeper understanding and then applying it.
Okay, so this isn't just about those posters you sometimes see in classrooms listing out the different types of pronouns, because honestly, those are helpful, but they don't exactly scream fun learning experience.
Not even close. BhashaLab actually has these kids becoming pronoun detectives.
Pronoun detective, I like that.
Right. So they're split into groups, they dive deep into all these different pronoun types, and then, doc this, they create posters and infographics to teach each other.
Oh, I love that. Visual learning is so powerful, especially for kids that age. Getting hands-on with those visuals, that's going to make it stick. But you said pronoun detectives. What are they actually doing? It sounds like there's an action element to this.
So picture this. Instead of just those boring textbook exercises, these kids are like, out in the wild!
Okay, I'm intrigued. What does that look like in the classroom?
Well, they're listening for pronouns, but like in videos. Or even eavesdropping on conversations, in a good way, of course.
It's like a game then.
It is. It's this fun challenge to see, like, who can spot the most pronouns, who can figure out what type each one is, and then...
Then what? What do they do with all this, like, pronoun data they're gathering?
That's when they bring it all back to their detective groups. They share what they found, maybe debate some of the trickier cases.
I bet there are some heated pronoun debates.
Oh, totally. But that's where the real learning happens, right? When they're bouncing ideas off each other, using those real-world examples.
It's amazing how these, like, seemingly simple activities can lead to some pretty deep discussions.
Totally.
So they're becoming these little pronoun experts. But the learning doesn't stop there, does it? I mean, what's the final project, the grand finale of this whole pronoun adventure?
Okay, so for the grand finale, they get to apply all this new pronoun knowledge creatively.
Ooh, I like where this is going. How so?
So some groups, they might write dialogues. Maybe a scene in a cafe where they have D to use all these different pronouns correctly. Or some groups, they might get really into it and craft stories, really focusing on how they can use pronouns to make their writing more interesting, more dynamic.
That's fantastic. I love how there's something for everyone, no matter what their learning style is. But this all sounds pretty complex. I have to ask, how do you even begin to assess something like this? I mean, it's so creative, so multifaceted. A pop quiz on pronoun types just wouldn't cut it, right?
You're telling me. That's the beauty of this whole approach. It goes way beyond traditional testing. BhashaLab, they use rubrics to evaluate the group work, the presentations, that kind of thing.
Now, for anyone who's not familiar with rubrics, it's not just about checking off whether an answer is right or wrong.
Right.
It lets teachers look at things more holistically. Like, how creative was the student? Did they collaborate well with their group? What about their critical thinking skills? Those are all important factors.
Exactly. And there's this big emphasis on real-world application through those creative activities. Because it's one thing to know the rules, but it's another thing entirely to actually be able to use them, in different contexts.
So sure.
But honestly, what impressed me most was their focus on personalized feedback.
And that's something I always appreciate. Can you give me an example? What might that look like, this personalized feedback, in the context of this project?
Absolutely. So imagine a teacher, they're giving feedback on a student's dialogue, right? But instead of just like red marks all over a piece of paper, the teacher records a short video, highlighting specific places where the student used pronouns really effectively, maybe offering some suggestions for improvement.
Oh, that is so much better than just seeing red pen on paper, isn't it?
Right.
It's so much more personal. It makes the student feel like the teacher really cares, really took the time to understand their work. And that can make all the difference for a student, can it? Knowing that someone sees their effort, sees their creativity.
Huge. It can totally change the game in terms of keeping them motivated and engaged.
I love that. It's like that old saying, what is it? Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. And that's what's so great about this whole approach.
It really is. They get it, They get how important that is.
It sounds like BhashaLab has really cracked the code here. I mean, they've taken something like pronouns, which, let's be honest, most people don't find inherently thrilling. And they've turned it into this engaging, exciting learning experience.
For real. And for anyone listening who's ever struggled with teaching grammar or even learning it themselves, this pronoun hunt, it's a breath of fresh air.
It is. It really makes you think, if we can make pronouns this exciting, what else can we do? What other parts of language learning, or heck, learning in general, could we revolutionize with this kind of approach?
Now that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Makes you think about the potential of project-based learning beyond just this one project.
Right. It doesn't have to stop here.
Right.
What if we took this hunt concept and applied it to other grammar rules? Like, imagine a verb voyage.
I love that.
Where students, they explore all the different verb tenses, but they do it by, like, creating comic strips or even short animated films.
Yes. Or what about adjective adventures? They could create these amazing travel brochures for these fictional places using the most descriptive language they can come up with.
There you go. And why stop at language arts? Imagine applying this to history, bringing historical events to life with student-created documentaries.
Ooh, I like where you're going with this. Or interactive timelines. The possibilities are truly endless.
So we started with pronouns, right? And how we can make them powerful. But maybe the real takeaway here is even bigger.
What's that?
Maybe it's the power of project-based learning itself. It's about lighting that spark, that spark of curiosity, and giving students the tools to become these amazing active learners.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about empowering them, not just lecturing at them.
Exactly. So to all our amazing listeners out there, we want to hear from you. What other creative teaching methods have you come across? Have you seen project-based learning in action? Head over to our social media and share your stories, because we're always up for another deep dive.